Pressure always shows up before promotion, and most people miss their moment because they mistake pressure for punishment. But pressure isn't proof that you're losing. It's proof that you're close to winning. Every time life tightens, every time the challenges pile up, every time the obstacles seem impossible to move, it's a signal that growth is happening beneath the surface. Just like gold is refined in fire, your potential is revealed under pressure. When you start feeling that squeeze, when everything feels like it's demanding more from you, that's not the universe working against you. It's stretching you into the version of yourself that can handle the next level. Promotion doesn't come when things are easy. It comes when you've proven that pressure can't break your principles. Most people want the position, but they don't want the pressure that prepares them for it. They pray for opportunity, but run when the test shows up. What separates those who rise from those who remain is the ability to stay calm when the heat turns up. Pressure demands growth. It demands that you make decisions faster, think sharper, and build endurance. It's not comfortable, and it's not supposed to be. The moments that make you question everything are the moments that are forming everything. The weight you feel is not meant to crush you. It's meant to carve strength into you. You don't build muscle without resistance, and you don't build greatness without tension. Every champion you've ever admired, every success story that inspired you, every entrepreneur who made it out of nothing, all of them had to face pressure that tried to break them before they broke through. What looks like struggle is actually strategy. Life isn't trying to stop you, it's trying to shape you. The reason pressure feels heavy is because you're carrying potential that's larger than where you currently are. Growth always outgrows comfort zones. Pressure is feedback. It's telling you that you've reached the limit of what your old habits, thoughts, and systems can handle. It's life's way of saying it's time to evolve. When the pressure increases, it's usually because the reward is increasing too. Think about a rocket. It faces the most resistance right before it leaves the ground. The engines roar, the metal shakes, everything around it seems chaotic. But that's exactly what it takes to break free from gravity. You can't get to a new atmosphere with old effort. You can't experience new levels with the same mindset that built your last one. Pressure teaches you to adjust, to prioritize, to focus. It burns away distractions and forces you to see what really matters. That's why it feels uncomfortable, because growth always demands that you let go of what no longer fits. When pressure shows up, it's a signal that your breakthrough is near. Most people collapse because they misinterpret it. They think life is falling apart, when in truth it's falling into place. The promotion is hidden inside the process. You can't skip the hard part because the hard part is what qualifies you for the next level. Every test is a filter that separates the committed from the comfortable. The ones who stay when it gets tough, who push when it gets painful, who choose to trust the process instead of quitting it, those are the ones who end up promoted. The difference between failure and fulfillment is often just endurance under pressure. The challenge is that pressure exposes what's inside. When life squeezes you, whatever is in you comes out. If frustration is in you, it'll come out. If fear is in you, it'll come out. But if faith, discipline, and focus are in you, that's what will rise. Pressure doesn't lie. It reveals. It reveals your patience, your perspective, your preparation. And here's the truth. Most people want a new level without new preparation, but promotion without preparation leads to collapse. Pressure ensures you don't collapse under the weight of your own success. It toughens your mind, it stabilizes your emotions, it refines your habits. Every ounce of discomfort is an investment into durability. Pressure is the silent teacher that doesn't speak but speaks through situations. It doesn't explain. It exposes. It asks questions like, can you stay consistent when no one notices? Can you stay disciplined when you're discouraged? Can you keep building when there's no applause? Because real promotion doesn't happen in the spotlight. It happens in silence. It happens when you're doing the work nobody sees. The pressure to stay committed when results don't show is what separates amateurs from masters. Anyone can start when it's easy, but only the developed can continue when it's not. The real growth isn't in getting what you want. It's in becoming who you must be to handle it. When you understand that pressure is not your enemy, you stop running from it. You start using it. You begin to see every challenge as a classroom, every obstacle as an opportunity to level up. You stop saying, "Why is this happening to me?" and start saying, "What is this teaching me?" That's the mindset that turns pressure into progress. The more you lean into it, the stronger you become. The stronger you become, the more prepared you are for promotion. Because pressure is not there to punish you. It's there to prepare you for the position you asked for. You said you wanted success, but success requires strength. You said you wanted influence, but influence requires integrity. You said you wanted more, but more always demands mastery over what you already have. Pressure is life's way of asking, can you handle it? Every new level requires a new version of you, and pressure is the process that pulls that version out. It strips away excuses, removes comfort, and forces clarity. It makes you choose between quitting and becoming. It builds resilience, and resilience is the foundation of every breakthrough. That's why when the pressure comes, you shouldn't be afraid. You should pay attention. Because the greater the pressure, the closer the promotion. Isolation is not rejection, it's preparation. But most people don't realize that when life starts pulling them away from crowds, conversations, and connections, it's not punishment, it's positioning. Isolation often feels like loneliness, but in reality, it's life's way of removing distractions so you can focus on your development. When you're surrounded by too many voices, it's hard to hear your own. Growth requires silence. Mastery requires solitude. Every person who's ever stepped into something significant had to first go through a season of separation. That's where you learn who you are without the noise of approval, without the need for validation, without the comfort of company. It's not that people are turning their backs on you, it's that life is turning your attention inward. You can't discover your power until you've learned to stand in it alone. Isolation sharpens your awareness. It makes you confront the parts of yourself you've been avoiding. When you're alone, there's nowhere to hide from your thoughts, your fears, or your insecurities. And that's exactly why it's powerful, because those moments force you to deal with what's been holding you back. When you're around people, you can mask your uncertainty with conversation, busyness, or noise. But in isolation, truth has nowhere to hide. You begin to see your habits, your excuses, your patterns. You start realizing what needs to change, not because someone told you, but because silence exposed it. That's where growth happens, not in the crowd, but in the quiet. Preparation always requires separation. The reason isolation feels uncomfortable is because your environment is shifting to match your evolution. The people who used to understand you may no longer relate to the version you're becoming. That's not betrayal, that's alignment. As you grow, the frequency of your thinking changes, and not everyone can tune into it. Some relationships expire not because they were bad, but because they were seasonal. You needed them for one chapter, but not the next. Isolation teaches you to let go without bitterness and move forward without apology. It's the training ground for independence, emotional, mental, and spiritual. You start realizing that validation is not a requirement for vision. You don't need approval to move, you need clarity. And clarity only comes when the noise fades. Isolation builds confidence. Not the kind that's loud and performative, but the quiet kind that's grounded and unshakable. When you learn to depend on yourself, you stop begging for permission to grow. You stop waiting for others to recognize your value because you've already recognized it within. You stop chasing crowds and start chasing clarity. That's why isolation is powerful. It separates you from imitation and pushes you toward authenticity. When you can be alone and still feel complete, that's when you become unstoppable. The people who fear being alone are often afraid of meeting themselves. But once you embrace that space, you realize isolation is not empty. It's full of answers, ideas, and identity. There's something sacred about silence. It's in those quiet seasons that creativity is born, visions are refined, and strength is built. The world celebrates what's seen, but preparation always happens unseen. Athletes train in silence before the crowd cheers. Entrepreneurs work in silence before the world buys in. Isolation is where ideas mature, where purpose takes shape, where potential becomes power. It's where you learn discipline without applause and persistence without recognition. The truth is, the people who learn to thrive in isolation are the ones who dominate in public because they've already built the muscle of self-motivation. They don't need external validation to keep moving. Their drive comes from within. Isolation also teaches discernment. When you're separated from the noise, you start to see who was with you for your potential and who was with you for your presence. Some people only supported you when you fit their narrative, not when you started to grow beyond it. Isolation reveals intentions. It shows you who really matters and what really counts. You start realizing that not everyone who walks with you is walking for you, and that's okay. Growth requires pruning. You can't carry everyone to the next level because not everyone is equipped for that altitude. The air gets thinner the higher you go, and only those built for endurance can breathe there. Isolation helps you recognize who can and can't go with you. Sometimes isolation is protection. You don't even realize that being pulled away from certain people, places, or opportunities is saving you from distractions that could delay your destiny. Life hides you when it's not your time yet, because premature exposure can destroy potential. Think of a seed. It's buried before it breaks through. It looks like darkness, but it's actually development. Isolation is your soil. That's where your roots grow deep so your fruit can grow strong. It's where you're equipped with the wisdom, patience, and perspective to handle what's next. You can't be trusted with visibility until you've been proven in obscurity. In isolation, you also learn emotional control. You learn that peace doesn't come from people, but from understanding yourself. You learn how to reset without running away, how to reflect without regret, how to rebuild without resentment. You begin to understand that solitude is not loneliness, it's leadership training. Every strong leader has spent time in silence, learning to lead themselves before leading others. You can't manage a crowd if you can't manage your own mind. That's what isolation teaches. Self-mastery. It forces you to stop blaming and start building. It makes you realize that everything you need to rise is already inside you, waiting for your focus. Isolation isn't forever, it's a phase, but how you handle it determines what happens when the doors open again. If you use your isolation to complain, you'll come out weaker. If you use it to build, you'll come out wiser. You're not being left behind, you're being leveled up. The distance between where you are and where you're going is often defined by how well you handle solitude. When you stop resisting isolation and start embracing it, you unlock your real power. Because isolation isn't a setback, it's a setup for something greater forming quietly inside you. Delali doesn't mean denial. It means development. Most people lose faith in their journey because they mistake waiting for wasting. They think if it's not happening now, it's not happening at all. But delay is not there to stop you. It's there to strengthen you. Every dream, every goal, every breakthrough goes through a waiting season. And that season isn't about punishment. It's about preparation. When you're in a delay, you're in a classroom that teaches patience, resilience, and endurance. The delay isn't denying you the result, it's developing the version of you that can handle the result without breaking. You don't build maturity through speed, you build it through process. The reason the breakthrough hasn't come yet might be because, daughter, you're still being refined to sustain it once it does. The truth about development is that it doesn't feel exciting. It feels slow, silent, and sometimes even discouraging. You plant seeds and don't see anything sprout for a while, but that doesn't mean nothing's happening. Growth happens underground before it happens in front of you. A delay is like the soil around the seed. It hides progress from sight but doesn't stop it. The roots are forming before the fruit can appear. The unseen stage is what gives the seen stage stability. Too many people want quick success, but quick success without depth collapses under pressure. Development takes time because character takes time. You can rush decisions, but you can't rush maturity. Delay teaches you to wait without quitting, to move without rushing, to trust the timing of your effort. Delay is also the test of discipline. It asks, can you keep working when you don't see results yet? Can you keep showing up when nothing seems to move? Most people give up not because it's impossible, but because it's invisible. They confuse lack of visibility with lack of progress. But progress is often quiet. The greatest shifts happen internally long before they show up externally. The world may not see your grind, your growth, or your grit, but the delay is building it. You learn consistency when results are delayed. You learn focus when distractions look more appealing. You learn gratitude when nothing comes easy. Delay shapes your mindset to appreciate what you're working toward rather than just wanting it. There's wisdom in waiting. When things take time, you're forced to prepare differently. You start learning details you would have skipped if everything came too fast. You begin to recognize patterns, understand timing, and gain perspective. That's the power of development. It makes you effective, not just eager. Everyone wants the stage, but not everyone wants the process that earns it. The delay filters your motives. It reveals if you're doing something because you truly believe in it or because you just want validation. When success takes longer than expected, it purifies your reason for pursuing it. Those who endure the delay are the ones who end up with the depth to sustain their success, while those who rush often crash at the first obstacle. Delay is also protection. Sometimes the thing you're waiting for isn't ready for you yet, or maybe you're not ready for it. If success comes too early, it can overwhelm you. If opportunity arrives before you've built the discipline to manage it, it can destroy you. Life delays things to align the timing, your readiness with your reward. The gap between what you want and when you get it is where wisdom grows. You start learning patience without passivity, readiness without restlessness. You stop trying to force outcomes and start focusing on becoming the person who can attract them. That's why delay is a gift disguised as frustration. It's saving you from premature exposure, from opportunities that would have been too heavy to hold at this stage. Every delay carries a lesson. Some delays teach humility, reminding you that greatness isn't about speed, but about substance. Some teach strategy, forcing you to rethink your methods and sharpen your execution. Others teach stillness, showing you that rushing is not the same as progressing. Development happens in layers, and delay ensures you don't skip any of them. It matures your emotions, strengthens your patience, and solidifies your identity. When you embrace delay as development, you stop comparing your journey to others. You realize that everyone moves according to their own timeline. Comparison fades because confidence grows from preparation, not from validation. The delay also reveals your relationship with time. Most people live in a hurry, constantly chasing what's next, but real growth demands stillness. You can't learn from what you're rushing through. The pause in your progress is not punishment, it's purpose. It's the moment where you're meant to reflect, refine, and realign. Maybe you've been moving in circles because you haven't learned the lesson the delay was meant to teach. The sooner you shift your focus from when will it happen to what is this teaching me, the faster the development begins to make sense. You start realizing that time isn't your enemy, it's your ally. It's working with you, shaping you, preparing you,